And I'm going to maximize, and I will zoom here. Is that big enough, or do you need it bigger? You need it at the full 200%. So from the back, I mean, it's a long room. Can you guys see that, or you need more? You're okay? I can zoom up if you need. So let me know. What I want to do first is go to the Tools menu. And right at the very top of the Tools menu is Extensions and Updates. So I'm showing how to add GitHub directly to Visual Studio. So under Tools, if you go to Extensions and Updates, it'll give you this dialog box. And what you want to do is, first of all, click on Online for the Visual Studio Marketplace. And then in the search, so I clicked on online in this Extensions and Updates. In the search, I'm going to just type GitHub. And then it'll should go. Why is it not there? What?
But there it is, GitHub extension for Visual Studio. 6 down.
6 down. Why is it? It was at the top every other time I did it. That's fine. That's it. Yeah. So we want that. If you click it and then you want to download it. So it's GitHub extensions for Visual Studio, download. All right, down here it has a little thing. Your changes will be scheduled. The modifications will begin when all Microsoft Visual Studio windows are closed. So I am going to close. And I have to close Visual Studio as well. And then it should pop up a dialog box, which is always hard to find in the Zoom. There it is. Yes, I'm going to let it make changes. With luck, it won't take very long. Thank you. And then we want to click Modify. And at home, this took about 2 minutes. I'm hoping it won't take forever here. Come on, you can do this. I guess it gives other people time to catch up. What? Yes. Okay, that's a good sign. The first part is download complete, and then it's the install. So the install usually, again, doesn't take too long. I did it at home or in my office. And both are on wireless, but so they're not directly. Come on. Anyway, once it's done this, as I said, it just creates a, all you have to do is click on sync and you go up to GitHub. There's a couple other steps, like we have to tell it what your GitHub account is. Weird part, this part shouldn't take so long. It's already downloaded the file. That's the part where we'd all be hitting it at once. This part shouldn't take so long.
And just finish.
Yours is finished. Oh, that's good. All right. I'm showing how to add GitHub to your Visual Studio, which I put on the blog step by step what to do. Why is yours finished? How many others is there? Yours is finished. Why is mine not finished? What? I wonder if I.
Just click on the dialog box.
Yeah, mine says download complete, but it's still up there.
Yeah, but you start it later. There it goes.
Just need to tap on the button.
Sometimes I found if you do Control Alt Delete, don't actually delete the process, but just get it up, it suddenly finds new
I'll
life.
move the priority up to the bottom.
Yeah, so now it says it's done. And then you can close that. Once it's done and you close it, then you can open up Visual Studio again. So under the open thing here, there's a GitHub. I would click it. And what you want to do with this is where you would register what your GitHub is, right? So in my case, it'd be SP Conger. And then I'll give it my password. And then I will sign in. You can also join GitHub at this point. And I'll go to the SP Conger. And it'll show me at least some of my repositories there. I'm surprised at Sage Knives and Smoked Trout. Those are former students of shared repositories with them. So, but anyway, I'm not going to look at those. And as I scroll down, you know, I can see all of my. Now, I said I would walk through the thing again, so I'm going to make a new one, but you don't have to make a new one. Also, if you, so let's, so I'm just going to close this because I'm connected to my GitHub now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new project, which you do not have to do if you are happy with what you did last time. I'm just going to, because I said I'd walk through the process one more time. Are we ready for the most part?
Yeah, so I clicked on one of my subdirectories to.
Yeah, one of the things you can do, I mean, once the model thing, don't delete the model folder, but you can delete everything in it. And that would get rid of all of the entity stuff. And then it's a lot easier to do that if you've made a mistake or it isn't working right than it is to try to fix things.
So this, book review, this is part of the data entry language, right?
Right, so the book reviews is basically for, so let's look at the Server Explorer. I kind of want to look at this anyway. There's the Community Assist. I do not see my book review, so I'm going to reconnect with the data. This connection is not necessary for anything that we're doing, by the way. This is just because it's nice to be able to see what's there. So I want the book review. I do not know why. So I'm making individual data connections. Another way to connect there is you could connect to your SQL Server, and you would actually have all the databases underneath that, which might be a better route.
So we're adding connection.
I just added it to make sure that I can look and see what we got here. So these are those, you know, and then your assignment, this is just for the demos. And then your assignment is from the Community Assist 2017. All right, so I'm going to start a new project. And I have to think of a new name for it, which is always hard. I was happy with my other name, but I think it will be worth walking through this real quickly. So I'm going to do a project. Now, the thing is that after your first one with the Community Assist, you don't ever have to start another project unless you just want to start over. In general, you'll be adding to that project. Does that make sense? So I'm going to do the ASP.NET web application. I need to give this a new name since I'm doing it. So my last name was Book Review MVC 2018.
How do you get back to the start? I lost the start.
If you don't have the start, you can do view,
Oh, okay.
start. So I'm going to call this one Book Review MVC 2018B. Or since it's winter quarter, let's call it W. All right, because I may do another one in the spring anyway. So W. Does that make sense to you? So I'm going to do OK. And I am going to, we'll do MVC. So that's checked. We're not going to do any authentication, so everything should be okay. And it takes it a while because if you think about it, when we're using this template, it's adding a bunch of stuff. And again, for those that are just doing what we did last time.
So it's just book review NBC 2018.
Yeah, and I just called it W for, well, actually for winter.
Okay. Well, today's being that.
Yeah, so what it's done, we've got this. Notice it's got some GitHub stuff right here. And there's also right down in the bottom here, there's a little arrow. There's some different things, repos, master. When we make some changes, if we want, we can upload this and then we can upload it to GitHub. I'll show you when we'll add the things and then we'll upload it. This little blue bar down here has some things that go with the GitHub. There are other ways you can get it up there too, and I think that this will be there whether you're doing your existing one or not. So if I go to the Solution Explorer, okay, so that's where all of our files are. Are there any questions on that basic? To me, this is still kind of small. I guess I will go up to the 200. So again, the app data is, we're not going to use it, but you could put you can actually put a local database in there if you want. SQL Server is, you can bundle it and put it somewhere if you use the Express edition. We're not going to do that. App Start has your config files in it, right? Content is weirdly where your CSS files are. And again, they give you Bootstrap for free if you use the full template. Controllers, you've got a home controller, which is basically just, you'll want to modify most of what's in there. It's basically what just gives you a web page that says, hello, welcome to ASP.NET, MVC, etc. Fonts, I haven't played with that, but I imagine you could add other fonts, right? Not an expert on the fonts part. Models is empty. We're going to do that right next. Scripts has all the Bootstrap and jQuery.
I can barely hear you.
You can close the door if you want. I know it's hot, but
Hey, Steve.
yeah.
Mine won't connect to my database. What I need to
be running, do I need to like run the server separately from Visual Studio?
You shouldn't
Figured it
have
was
to, but you might be, your server might be turned off.
Okay.
So I'll do this real quickly, just because it could happen to any of you at any time. If you right click on the Windows icon and choose Computer Management, slowly. All right, in the Computer Management under Services and Applications, you should have a SQL Server configuration folder. If you open that under SQL Server Services, you want to make sure that your server is running. If it's not running, right-click on it and start it. I've noticed on laptops in particular, it shuts off sometimes, and I think that the reason that it shuts off is that it's on all the time, but I think that it, sometimes it says resources are tight, but you haven't used it for a while.
Okay.
Is that the case as it wasn't running, or do you know?
I'm just getting into so computer management services.
SQL Server, Services and Applications, SQL Server configuration.
Okay.
And then services, let me look real quick.
Yeah. I don't have
And it is stopped, so. This is just to let you know, it does stop sometimes, particularly on laptops and sometimes in the virtual machines. I've never had it stop at home, ever, but here it does. Just as a side, this is one of the most dangerous dialog boxes in Windows. You can modify everything. What? I didn't hear.
Computer management.
Yeah. You can format your drive. You can do whatever you want. You can partition your drive. You can turn services off and on. And in so doing, you can kill Windows to where it will never start again. So you have to be careful.
Do we have to start the other services?
No, most of the other services you don't need. Yeah, so if it isn't working, or it is?
There's stuff.
Yeah, it should be fine. You don't need the server launchpad. You don't need the reporting services for what we're doing. All you need is really the SQL Express. All right, I'm going to close that. We're over here. So we're about where we were starting last time. As I said, I'm going to walk through what we did last time. I'm just going to do it a little bit faster. Views also, just real quickly, you've got a home, which has about, contact, and index. And again, if you were to run this without doing anything, that's what you would see is the index view for home, which basically says welcome to ASP.NET and etc. Under shared, there's the layout CS HTML, and we could, that's where you basically go in to change what's on that home page. You could just kill them and write your own too, right? So that's basically what you get with this model. The thing that GitHub doesn't like, and the reason why I did the install here, is it doesn't like the fact that there are several hundred files here. When you try to upload it, it complains. You can do it. There are ways to force it, but okay. So under models, this is what we did last time, and I'm going to do it again. I am going to add. Now, having done it once, come on, add. The ADO.NET entity data model will always be there. The thing is, you're only going to need to add it this once, right? Because it'll be there for all the other parts of the project. It's a neat tool, as I've said. And if it isn't there, you can do new item. And when you do new item, it's under data. And then it's at the top. I have never noticed that it makes any difference what you name the model, but I am going to name it book review model. Get rid of the one at the end. Again, I've never, we will never address the model again. So I'm going to do add, and it gives me this wizard. One of the things that I would suggest if you ever have time at home is to play with this, do it with other databases and stuff. There are some pretty good online tutorials that go on into the, when I've printed them, they end up about 70, 80 pages. But there are long tutorials how to use each of these different options. We're going to do the first one because we have an existing database. I would say most of the time this is your best bet. Most of these involve a lot more coding because you're actually writing the database in C#. And then when you run the code, it'll create it in SQL Server. We're not going to do that. So I'm going to do next. Now, this is here. If you don't have this, you can do a new connection. Server name for us is /SQL Express. Right? If on your own machine, it might be localhost. Or if you named it when you installed it, it would be the name of the server. You have an option. There's 3 ways. SQL Express is always SQL Express. When you install a full instance of SQL Server, it could be, if you don't name it, then it's just localhost. You can have exactly one localhost, one default instance. Any other instances have to be named. So I will do /SQL Express. I'm not going to actually make, indeed, it does need to be SQL Express. A trick to see whether it's worked is you can go down here and it should have a list of all the databases on your server. So I said I'm not going to actually do the OK, but you can also test the connection. All the text connection does is tell you that the server is running and the database exists. It doesn't actually tell you you have permissions or that anything else is going to work. Right? But it's there if you want it.
You don't really need to add a bit before.
Yeah, I'm not going to add it because it's already there. So this is what you would get if I just said OK. It would have been exactly the same, except it would have had a 1 after it. So I'm going to do, because this one already exists, so I'm going to do a next.
Does it matter if ours doesn't take the review? It says master.
Yes, you do not want master.
Okay, sorry.
So if we already had the connection,
If you already have the connection, you don't have to redo. I'm just, as I said, walking through that. You do not want master. You want book review if you're following the example. When you do the community assist, you want the community assist 2017. Master would give you nothing that you could use.
Just click on that.
Yeah, I'm just going to click on next. Then it gives you a choice of what version. I'm going to go with 6. There's no reason to step down. All right, so then I'm going to do next. This is an important one because this is where you get what you need for your thing. Now, we're going to take all of the tables. So I'm just going to click on those. If I click on DBO, I can get all those tables. DBO stands for database owner. It's a schema. It's a long story. We do need, and this is true in the community assist too, there are no views at this point, but there are some stored procedures that we need. We need, for this one, we need new reviewer and USP new reviewer login. So all of the tables, and then we need these. It is possible to add things after the fact. You can come back and update the diagram, the entity. So it is possible to add things. But now this is going to confuse some people. It's going to pluralize or singularize the names. So category, for instance, will become categories. Author will become authors. And what it does is an individual author is represented as an author class, but authors is a collection of authors. So the table is actually authors within the coding, right? And an author becomes like a row in that table. It's a little confusing to get the hang of that. So authors will contain author objects. Each author object represents basically the data of one row in the table. Does that make sense? It's going to add an S to all of these. And in Community Assist, there's a person table. It becomes people rather than persons. So just to let you know.
Steve, are you recording?
I am. So I'm going to do finish. And these warnings, as I said, you can click this to do not show the message again. I leave them there because if you get a bunch of these warnings, it's a good sign that everything is working. It's always struck me as odd, though, that when you run this data thing, it basically is telling you this is a dangerous thing to do, even though it's their own technology and their own.
You would know better that it's a dangerous thing to do.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just that you're touching the database. Whenever you're doing that, they say you should, you know. And we're using Windows authentication, which generally will work for this, but it is possible. You might want to do, you know, when you set this up on IIS, you would have to match this account to iUser, which is Internet User on Internet Information Server. Moving this over to a server can be a little complicated. Unless you do it on Azure, it's all transparent then, because Microsoft sets up all the security for you. All right, come on, give me the diagram. Oh, it did. Okay. So as I said last time, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, it not only has objects here. Notice where it has down here reviews, authors, categories. These are collections that relate to this, because every book has reviews. Every book can have multiple authors, and every book can have multiple categories. So these become lists of those things that relate to an individual book, right? All the reviews for a book, all the authors for a book. That's sort of how the code handles it. Categories related to books. So each category can have a list of books. This is actually how you might do it in a NoSQL database, and you know, but it's how they handle relationships. Is that they basically create a collection or a list object that contains all of the related objects. Same up there with book and reviewer and author and books. Notice these have, means many to many, and it doesn't include the linking tables if you know relational. Mm-hmm. It's handling those many to many relationships with these collections. The neat thing, which we will see not too far in the future, is that it knows what's related to what.
Wondering about the tick on the add new project, which is create the Git repository, which for us is not checked by default.
Oh, you could add that.
If we wanted to.
Yes, you can. Now mine didn't have that checkbox. But yeah, go ahead and check it.
Can we accomplish the same?
Yes, yes, you can. But that's the easiest way. Weirdly, and probably the next project that I did, it would have it. It doesn't. I didn't have that checkbox. I was kind of looking for it actually. But you can still create it. Yeah, we will do it after. So we've got this. One of the things you have to do before you can do anything else is build the solution. If you don't build it, it'll give you errors when you go to the next part. So my build succeeded. Hopefully yours will succeed too. We haven't done anything to make it not succeed, right? And I'm not going to tour everything there. One, I'm going to close the references. It creates, notice each one of these, it says CS, it's the individual class. And I'll just do book. So when I go over here, as I said, I don't want to necessarily go through all of this. This is a public class book. It's a partial class. I kind of explained that Microsoft can split classes off into multiple files. They did this, I think, partially for their templates and partially to keep you from messing with the other half of it. The other half is the part that would contain.
Which file did you put down?
I just did book. So it's a public book. It has 3 collections. They do them as hash sets for reviews, authors, and categories, because a book can have reviews, authors, and categories. It has a field for each. You know, basically it has a field for each of the fields or the columns in the table. And then it creates a virtual, which means abstract, kind of parent for those hash sets. Applying the iCollection interface. We're not going to do anything with all of that, but it's auto-generated code. For the most part, don't touch. You know, all this, I'll just close that so it's not there. But for the most part, you don't want to touch the auto-generated code. You can make changes to it if you know what you're doing. But if you don't know what you're doing, you'll end up just messing things up and having to wipe it all out. The other thing is if your model doesn't work, your best bet is just to go like this and press delete and then do it again. It's really, because it could take hours to fix. It takes 5 minutes to rerun it. I'm not going to delete it because it's there and it's working. All right, so the last thing we did, and we're only going to do this once, because in general, it doesn't give you, it gives you the basic CRUD, but that's not what you usually want. CRUD being create, read, update, and delete. But I wanted to show you that it did it, and one of the reasons to run it at least once in a project is so you can see what it did in the code, and you can steal that when you have to do it by hand. In fact, you can cut and paste some of it. And then you could delete it all when you're done if you want. But so I'm going to add a controller. There's one controller, which is home, but I'm going to add a new controller. So I am going to just add a controller. And for this time only, we're going to do controller with views. Most of the time in the future, we'll just do an empty controller. Okay. So we'll have to write a little bit of code. This time we're not going to write anything.
Why is this time different?
Because I just want to show you what you get for free. And also, as I said, one of the reasons I would do this even in a real project is just so you have the examples to work from, and then you can delete them when you're done. Does that make sense? Because it'll auto-generate the controller, and it'll show you what the controller code looks like. It'll auto-generate the views, and you can look at the views and see what it did in the views. That's really helpful when you're writing your own views in your own controller. And it's a pretty good generator. It doesn't have a lot of extraneous code. So anyway, I am going to do this. I'm going to do add. So one of the things when you do this, it wants to know the model class. And you should be able, this is where you got messed up with your one folder, but you should be able to see all of the classes that are in there and a few things that are not. But last time I chose category and it only had one field. I think book at least has 2 fields.
In the homework, we should choose.
Well, so in the homework, I told you to do the business rules. partially because it has nothing to do with anything in the database. So running these things doesn't affect your end application much, right? So, and then the book review DB entities, which we will encounter when we're writing our own code. We'll have to write that line a few times. This is the name of the model that we added. So whenever we want to address the model, we have to address it through book review DB entities. For Community Assist 2018, was it 2017? 2017. It'll be Community Assist 2017 DB entities. It always just adds DB entities to whatever the database name is. So in general, we're going to let it generate views. We're going to reference the script libraries. We're going to use a layout page. It's going to do Razor, which is just basically C# script in HTML. So I'm going to do add.
Yeah, I'm not getting on the pull. I didn't get anything with pull down on data content stuff.
There's no.
Okay, so I like click on controllers. Is it a new item or controller?
Use.
Add. Get book.
All right, so just type what I had, book review DB entity. See if it goes.
Was it content or?
That's the first time.
No.
That they're not adding extra. I don't know if they do that.
It's not book, I want to see the entity.
We want to cancel it, it's just, so. I want to try new item.
No, but I'm not gonna
Oh, okay.
Did you change your, let's just still be there. To do your model. Now click that. Do a processing.
Oh, okay. You should put the plus. Okay. That's what happened. You had to put the plus.
I guess. Fine, yeah. You're okay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
You have to compile first. Did you compile? So go up to build. So close that and then do build. It won't let you add the controller if you didn't build it. It goes and then build solution. It has to be compiled once before it will let you add it. All right. So let me show you kind of bit what we got, and then we'll go on to the new stuff a little bit. So now it should let you.
How come? Oh, see, everyone else had it.
Yeah, I said one time to build,
Oh.
so you're probably busy doing something.
Okay.
All right, so this is the controller, and as I said, part of why I want to build these right now by things is that it gives you the look of a controller, which will always have these public action results. And each one of these things, there's index, there's details, there's create, there's edit, and there's two for delete. There's delete, and then there's a confirm delete. And if you look over here under books, you'll see that it has create, delete, details, edit, and index. So for every action result, there's a view, right? And they have to have the same names. So I'm going to click on index. And so it'll bring over here the index. This is the HTML plus Razor page. The Razor stuff tends to start with the @ symbol. So it tells the page that the model is books, the title is index. It gives an index up here. You can change anything in the that. This says, this gives you a couple of buttons, action links or buttons. And it basically goes to the create folder, the window in there. It does a simple table, and it takes the name from the table. So these are taken, this is display name for, it takes the column name. You don't have to do that. Sometimes I don't because my column names don't always aren't the best headers. Down here it does a for each loop and it goes through the data. I did the book this time because last time there was only one field. This time, so there's 3 this time. On every table it also gives you an edit and a details and a delete. And then it ends the table. So if I run this one, so I'm going to just run this, and it'll work with any browser, right? So if you download it, Chrome or Firefox, it'll work with those as well. And after we look at this, then I will we'll write it up to GitHub, and then we'll start the new stuff. So I'm really big here because of the zoom. Where is my zoomer? So these are the books that are in it. My taste in books, a little weird, but there it goes. It has a fake ISBN. So if I do create new, it gives me a place to enter a new book, right? And I could do that. I could add a new book. It won't actually give me a place to enter the author and stuff, which is why I say it's not necessarily the way you really want it. But if I were to enter a book there, I could. I go back to list, and if I'd entered a new book, it would be right at the bottom. I guess we could do a new book. What's a little garbage data? Anybody have a good book top of your head?
Brief history of time.
Sure. I have no idea the date of that. Was it this century?
It was 1988, I believe,
88?
when that was first released.
Could be.
I have a copy of the original edition.
I have a copy too, but I don't know. How's that? Oh, it wants a whole date. That's stupid. Anyway, let's say 1/1. Did it fail? What is the failure? Did your guys' work?
Yeah.
Mine's fine.
So one of the things you might want to do is I think it was the date. I didn't like my date. Anyway, let's not spend a lot of time doing this. So let's go back. Maybe just run it again. We can deal with data with error handling later. Oh, so if you end up on the main page, then in the thing here, you would want to do books index, and then you can get it back to books. I'll show you how to add a title. So I'm not sure what it liked. I guess it was the date. It's a date time, which is stupid. I don't know why it needs a date time. Anyway, if you do, let's just choose one and do edit. It would let you edit it, and you should be able to save that. I don't know what I would want to change it to. This isn't the real book, but let's say now hopefully that one won't crash. So notice now it's JavaScript, jQuery, and Bootstrap. And then you can, if I look at the details, it just displays it a little differently. And then you can delete, which I won't. But it gives you all of that stuff, right? And the important part in terms of, I'm going to close that and stop it from running. The important part is that you can look at, so let's look at the create. It gives you how to create the HTML begin form. And then it begins, it's a form horizontal, which I believe is a Bootstrap class for form. Takes you down, and you can see how it set up the form for the data entry. Basically, that's the same stuff you're going to have to do when you do like we're going to do a registration thing. I don't think that's the next assignment, but we'll do a registration form. You're basically going to have to create something like this for every field. The easiest way to do it is to copy and paste, or at least have this as a template to look at, right? So that's one reason I run the wizards. It's a pain to have to do this from scratch. Okay. So let's do the changes here. So it says there's no unpublished commits. Well, hopefully. So you can publish to GitHub, which I think is I'm going to do, and there's no current repo for this.
On the very bottom status line in the lower right corner, add to source control button.
Maybe we want to do that. Is this one add to source, name master, or is it way over here?
Clear to the right on mine, the furthest right.
Huh. I've just got master.
Yeah, that's not. Add the solution to your preferred source control system. Is what mine is.
And then if you click on that, it gives you GitHub, and you click on that, and it brings up like the Team Explorer window.
So in the Team Explorer, there's GitHub. I think I want to create now. So it gives me the local path. And then, so what I want to do here is add what I want the name of it to be. And it does SP Congress. So let's do, what is my name of this assignment? It is Book Review MVC 2018 W. What does it not like about that?
Did you get that dialog box?
I got it by going down here, clicking on this, and then I want to publish to GitHub.
Okay.
Actually, that's fine. I just have to, I think this is the title. it's come up a little bit differently each time. So let's do this. All right, so it published it supposedly.
Not for me, but there's no files in the actual repo. I can, on the web.
Well, let me see. You might have to read. Let me see. So if I go to GitHub SP Conger. And I go to repositories. There's the winter one. And it has the README. Is that all there is? So that might be, so it's set up. So let's see if I have to do another thing to commit up.
Did you originally just do GitHub create? And then you...
I think I did create. So we created a new project, but I think what we need to do is to push this up. And I'm trying to think of how I do that. Because when I did it at home, it saw my fetch, push. Branch master does not exist. Okay, so I have to commit them locally first. Is it a match or it's repos?
You made changes that you're committing?
Well, so I need to commit them locally.
What changes?
You see that little pencil in the bottom right?
Yeah.
Right next to it, click on that. Add a scroll should be able to type in what you want your.
So I need to commit it. Thank you. I'm going to just say first commit. And then we commit all. Okay, so it's committing all of those. I have a, okay. Ooh, it failed. Why did it fail? So I don't know what the failure. Weirdly, I never had a failure before. Did you guys get it? Yours work?
I got something.
You got something?
Yeah.
Why is it giving me?
Mine did not want to commit that many changes, so you have like 2,000, I only have 76.
Well, it shouldn't have 2,000.
That's what it said when you were trying to commit it. It said like 2,000 changes. So
That
that might be part of the issue.
Yeah, but why would it have 2,000 changes?
For me, it said push the join to email privacy restrictions.
Oh, well, you know what I'm wondering? Repos. Can I change that path? I think it's trying to commit
Yeah.
everything in that folder. And I don't want to do that.
I don't know how we got on the different tab, but that button that I had at the bottom had the repo, did everything perfectly. Basically, just they never had to tell it what repo is.
Yeah, it should just go with the project.
Pushed everything in the project.
And it did that in my office, and it did that at home. It's always when I'm in front of people that things fail.
That's where I'm not clear on is how, where in the path we diverge.
Yeah. So
I'm not sure.
all right, so I just created a different one. So let's see what happens if I do. So I don't want all of those things. I just want, I don't know why it's doing all this. I don't want to fight with this for everything. Um, why is it doing everything? I'll, all right, let me fight with it later. Yours worked, huh?
Yep.
So everybody's worked but mine. Why did mine come up weird? What did I do?
It felt weird to begin with the first time, different than everyone else has a little. I think yours was just weird from the start.
Yeah,
I'm using the dark skin, that's probably.
that's probably it. Yeah. I'm just trying to reset it because what it's doing is it's trying to do the whole repos master, the whole folder with all of my projects, and I don't want that. That's why there were 2,000 things.
Again, I don't know how I got there, but it knew what to do.
Yeah, well, at home, it immediately just took whatever the current project was. So let's not spend too much more time on it,
Not to
though.
worry.
Oh,
I had to uncheck a box in like the email privacy settings.
oh, well, that's a different thing. Yeah. All right. Tell you what, I'll do it later. I might run this a third time later just for. I actually, as I said, everything worked last time perfectly. So let's look at the next assignment. Are there questions other than my confusion on the?
Wasn't there more to the?
I think the only other thing we did on this one, which we could do real quickly. So let me get back to the Solution Explorer. I think we did a quick change in the layout. So if I press enter on the layout, is that the layout? No, I'm still on the other one. Come on, give me the layout. Am I frozen? No, this is the layout. All right, so we added a action link so that the thing would be on our new web thing would be on the menu.
Mhm.
Right. So if we do,
Shared layout?
yeah, shared layout, and if I do an HTML.action link, and I do, so the first one is what do you want the menu item to say? So I'll just say books. The second one is what do you want to display? So I'll say index. So it's which of the views in that folder do you want to display? And the third one is which folder. So that would be books. And then you close this. So what the text is, the actual file name in that folder, the view name, and then what the folder for the views is. Like this is contact is what it'll say on the menu. Contact is the name of the view, and it's in the home folder, right? I'm just saying books is what I wanted to say on the menu. Index is the folder we're going to get first, and then books is index is the file we're going to get first, and it's in the books folder. Now there's other things you can do here, particularly so we didn't do this last time, but under shared, there's also view start. Or actually, no, where we want to go is home. We want to go home index. This is where it says, you know, like instead of ASP.NET, we could say book reviews. I could pretty well get rid of all of
For
this.
the home page, right? So
Yeah. So I'm just getting rid of all of this stuff. Which may be rid of more than I want, but so I'm going to run this from here. Let's see what I got. I still got a link that I probably don't want. So notice it says book review now. I need to like change that from application name. This part could go away and be changed to something else. Notice the books does show up there, and when I click on it, it will go to my book review thing. And then I can do the create new, edit, details, delete, etc. So the application name probably needs to be changed back into shared. So I think I killed. So I did create the book review here. I'll have to just see if I can get the thing up. Anyway, I killed my tab with the next assignment.
That was all we actually had to do.
That's all we actually did was just we changed the name.
We were doing this in the community.
Right, do it in the community assist. And most of you were pretty good at getting at least controllers and the views. I mean, that did it. So are there questions on that before we go on to the next stuff? I mean, as I said, you can change everything. We will do other changes to the shared stuff. And again, the main reason to run those is just to have the templates that we can use for other stuff. Everybody do okay? Yeah. Yeah, so am I. Which, as I said, is weird because it worked just fine for me last time.
So if you're connected to GitHub and working, how do you push changes?
So down here, you should commit it locally, and then it has a thing that just says push in the menu. Yeah, you have to commit it locally, which
I have it.
so what I want to do, so this is, I want to get rid of this. This is what I can't seem to change. So if you commit them, then it will let you push. But I'm at the wrong level, and I don't know how to change that level. I'm at the folder that contains all of my folders. I'll try it again and it'll,
Team Explorer
yeah. But as I said, I don't necessarily want to spend the next hour trying to get my GitHub pushed. I'll do it later. So did you get it?
So if you sync it, you can actually push it. So
The sync should actually push it. As I said, I did this successfully at home. Twice I practiced it before coming to class where it screwed up. All right. Are we ready?
Yep.
Okay, so the next assignment, we're going to modify the home controller, and we're going to have it show in Community Assist the types,
mine is
the basic types of what kind of grants they give, and put those on the home page. So I'm going to put something else on the home page for community or for the book review. Not entirely sure what, but basically what we're going to do is we're going to go to the home controller, add a reference to the project models, modify the index page for the home controller to display the list of the types, and then basically we'll add a table to the home thing, and then we'll use the home view to modify the rest of the layout. So we'll just add it to the thing, and then again it'd be good to upload it to GitHub. So
when you're uploading multiple assignments into the same repo,
right, it should just be changes to the same thing.
are we just submitting the link to the repo?
Yeah, just resubmit the link, just to make sure that yeah, each time just resubmit the same link. Do submit the link though, so that I remember to look. Right, that's mostly what it is to remind me to go look when you've made your changes. Ideally, if you name the commits differently. Although I know the assignments well enough, I can go and look and see if the changes are there. But if you name the commits differently each time, it should kind of reflect which assignment they're in. Does that make sense? All right, so let's do this. I think we have time. Hopefully it won't confuse you. I'm not going to do this one again. I'm going to do it from the book review. And I need to think about what I want. Let the cart go by. What I want to put on the, so author just has author name. Books. Category is not very good. There's really not any good tables for this. I think even though we had the books put up by our automatic thing, I'm going to do it again on the home page. Because I want something with more than one field. Because what you're going to put up there has like 4 fields. And I want it to, so I'm going to just do kind of, we've already got the books up there in the books thing, but I'm going to put it on the home index page, and I'm going to do it manually. It's not the best of all choices, but just to do it. so that you know kind of, what the process would be. Does that make sense? Kinda. All right, so even though we've already done this, we're going to put books on the index page. I mean, we did books on a separate page. We're going to do them on the index page. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to go to controllers first, and there is a home controller. Let me zoom back up again. I think this is big, but the over here isn't. But I went to the home controller under controllers, and the one we want to mess with is the index one. We're just going to change a couple of things about it so that it will display the books. So there's a couple of things we need to do up here. One thing, actually. We need to do using, and then this is book review, NVC 2018W. So whatever your name of yours is, dot models. And then a semicolon, right? I need it to refer to the models folders. I need to basically give it a guide to the models folder. It doesn't do that by default because what the home pages are basically doing is just saying hello. They're not getting in, reading any data.
Can you get the path to that?
So it should be just the name of your project dot models. And it should come up in the IntelliSense. Now down here, do I need... I'm going to do a little query here. I might need one more piece of code. I'm going to try something. In fact, I do know I need this. I need a reference to the data entities. So I'm going to do book review. Book review DB entities. Get the heck. The IntelliSense is getting in my way. Equals new book review DB entities. And what that does is it refers to the classes, right, that were made by running that entity database ado.net, ado.net, database entities, anyway. So we're basically just making a reference so we can talk to that. Notice that this is not black, so it knows we're talking to the models. The using statements are grayed out if they're not being used. So what I want to do is I'm going to write a little query, and it's actually a pretty easy little query. I'm going to do var, but it should be a lowercase var. I'm just going to call it BKS. And this is called link, and it's a bit weird in that it's like an upside down SQL. So from begin db.books, and we're actually just going to select everything. So I'm just going to lowercase s though. I'm just going to select B, which is to say select everything. I might make a slight list to this, and I don't know if it'll work. If we're really lucky, I can do parentheses dot to list. I don't know if that'll work though. We might have to actually do BKS2 list down here instead of up here. But
So if you look at like, if you go back and look at the auto-generated stuff,
yeah,
like the last time we did business rules,
right.
and then you go into the business rules controller. Their index is like a shorthand version where they put the view, like right in return view,
Right.
they put db.businessrules.toList. So it's like it's selecting all without sort of like that long.
We could try that.
Okay.
So this is one, I'm going to comment this then, right? So they did db
Yeah, it'd be like db
dot books
yeah
to list.
.toList. Yeah. And then it returns
So that might work too. Because that's essentially what this is doing. We're just selecting everything and turning it into a list.
yeah.
Let's see if that, so actually that won't work until we put something on the index page, the view. Let's try that though. I'm going to leave the other one up. And then let's go to the, you guys got that? I mean, that's pretty simple. One of the things that they've tried to do, one of the things that Microsoft has tried to do in all of these things is make it faster and easier to code. So I'm going to go over here to the views, home, and then index. Now there's a couple of things that we have to do here. One is it needs the model. So I'm going to do at, so I'm right at the top. This is the index page, the home page. So home, what?
The new return view that you had.
Oh, back to the controller. Not the books controller, the home controller. I did db.books to list. You have to throw the list. You have to pass back a list of things.
As soon as I type DB, it goes DB null. Did
you do this?
Yeah, so I'm using a different database. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll figure it out.
So in the view, the home index. So I might get rid of this whole ASP.NET, free websites and free applications. Actually, let's get rid of all of those. So this is book reviews. And I want to add, so up here I was adding the model. And what I want to add is the model is the name of our thing. So it was book review, MVC W11 dot models dot book. All right, so we're telling it which model we want to do. So I said one of my things I don't care about is that ideally the view should be ignorant of the model, but they pass that off to it. This could probably go away. And inside of, although, do we have div? So I probably need an open div here, or get rid of all of them. So in here, I don't know if you want, we can look and see what we get when we get done. I'm going to do table. And I'll do class equals table, which is Bootstrap. Okay, so I'm just going to start a table. I'm going to do a table row first, and then table heading. And I will do at HTML with a capital H dot. We want display name for, I believe. So, and we want book title. Actually, do we want title or ISBN first? Probably title. Now, what is it? Oh, it doesn't need that bracket. Okay. I'm going to just copy that. And then change book title to, we'll just add the ISBN. And then we'll do the book date. Oh, I know what the book entry date is. The date it was entered into the database. That's why it's a full date. Does that make sense? We're just starting a table. Got a row. These are the headings. And we've got the, this gives you basically just taking the column heads for the tables. Again, that's not necessarily, sometimes I just write my own headings in there because the column headings aren't necessarily the best headings. But we'll do this. This is actually really similar to what we did in the very first assignment that we walked through. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do an at for each var item in model. And I think it wants the capital M there. And I'll do open and close curly braces. Maybe it wants lowercase m. Yeah, we might have to do IE numerable. Does it have a capital IE? Oh, I'm still not spelling it right somehow. Numerable. There we go. Does that make this happier? Yes, it does. What did we do last time we had these problems? IEnumerable. Let's go look at the book index. So it did IEnumerable. Item and model. See, that's exactly the same. Why is it unhappy? Actually, let me look one more time at the other one. No, that's exactly the same. I don't know why this is red underlined. Yours isn't? Let me build. Oh well, let me continue. See if it works despite being underlined. So I'm going to do TR for a table row, and then we're going to do a TD, and we'll do at HTML, and then this time we just want display for model, and now it's not underlined. Model, the lambda symbol. This time it's item dot, and we will want book title. And then we can copy this for the three. So instead of book title, this would be book ISBN. And this would be the entry date. And that should be all we need.
You're not red anymore.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what happened. Just slow. I think it was just slow updating. But it did need the, up at the very top, it wanted that IE numerable. Sometimes it doesn't want it, but most of the time it seems to.
Is that what our item in model is referring to?
So it's for every item in the model,
Right.
right? So as we loop through the model, what the model is returning, book is the underlying type, but it's returning that list.
Okay.
So it's for every item in that list. And var is what Microsoft is using for a type when the type is mixed, right? Because in a table, you could, an object, it could be multiple things. So it's basically their generic, we don't know for sure what object kinds we're getting. So let's see if this works. And then I will play, because if this works, then that's it for the assignment, because that's basically what you need to do, and then just add it to the, you don't even have to add this to anything, right, because it's in the home index. So there it is, book reviews, and this shows you all the books. Probably if you were to make this a really good page, each of these books would be a link to where the reviews are or something. I'm not going to do that, we don't have that, but. And there's no particular reason to do the book, the date the book was entered. Which you could just not do if you didn't want to by just not putting that in the table. Yeah. Let's go back to the, so we got models book, INA book. Why does it not like that? Stop it. You've got, let's look at the controller. Okay. When you return the view, you have to do, try doing it the way we did it, which might, let me go back to the controller. So I commented that out and did this. I think the other way, if you did the var books, I've had problems where the to list doesn't work there, but if I did BKS to list down here, it would work. But this is a shorter one, just DB books to list. And you could probably do that DB grant types to list. Yeah,
Down here, signal reference exception.
right, so you probably didn't pass the list. Go back to the tutorial. Yeah. So in your view, you have to pass the list, you're not that view. This view. See how it has up there, DB plus to list? Yeah.
I've been studying this for a while.
Oh, okay.
So I got this one while I'm doing the.
Unable to provide the, audio diagram.
But yeah.
I'm trying, and I'm deleting it several times.
You've deleted this
Yeah,
several times?
yes.
Not sure what's going on. What I did is I refreshed this, broke everything again. Yeah.
This name back on.
Yeah.
Index.
So back to the index. And down. As I said, I think last time we did this is pretty similar to how you would do it in PHP or anything like that too. You just loop through a table structure and use the PHP code to draw the fields, the data in. Yeah.
So, I have an issue.
So it's not display for for model. It's just
Display four.
yeah.
Or the bottom one, what about the top one now?
Top one is display name for. The bottom one is just display for.
Oh, okay.
I know it's hard to see. I missed the room with the two TVs up on the side. So the hard parts of this, it's not like it's intense logic encoding. It's just all the little details of typing. So instead of book title, here it's modeled up.
Modeled up. Okay.
And then the other one is item up. Yeah.
I am not good at
So we're expected to be able to accomplish the same thing in our community assistant.
Right. And again, if you do the book, you do the, it's not that hard. Really, it isn't. If you do the automatic one, the wizards with the rules, you have the template there. And you can just copy and paste and change the values if you want. So what is it like? I think it's just book date isn't the name of the field. I mean, if you do, so this table here, if you go over here, let's stop it. If you go over to where we did the book review before, so that's books, and if we look at the index there, it looks exactly like what I just did. I mean, exactly. You create a table. It has, and you don't need the buttons, right? You just don't need the buttons. So I say, I mean, it's the code is almost identical. That's why I run the wizard, is so that you have the template for the code that you need. When we do a form, which we will do, I will give you, as I said, Wednesday will be Open Lab, I think, to finish this for your own. But when you want to do a form, again, the create gives you this. Now, rather than type all of this in yours, I would just copy like one of these because you just repeat it for every field. And then just change the names where appropriate. You can certainly type it all in, but it's a bit of a pain to type. And I will show you, that's what I'll do when we do it. We'll copy over and we'll just make our own form based on this. We also have to do our own code for processing it when we get there. But it looks worse than it is, I swear. It looks worse than it is.
My experience is that if at any point in the many steps along the way, there's a misstep and things go red, I don't understand the steps I have been taking, and I don't understand how to get back.
So which parts, I mean, I can explain most of what's going on. What parts?
I mean, it's like you don't have to go to the whole classes. You just, that's
Yeah.
where I'm at in my understanding at least.
Well, and I don't expect you, I mean, part of it is we're walking through this because I don't expect you to understand it. The more you do it, the more the understanding will come, I hope. Right, so I'm not sure. I have to, mine isn't publishing right now. So.
Mine for some reason.
Oh, so down here, you gotta change these. It's just display 4, not display name.
I deleted the project.
Just in the second section. This up here is correct.
That's correct. The name 4 returns the name of the column. The display 4 returns the data. So
And then what we did today is.
it's pretty much what you want to do, except with grant types.
Okay, and it'll be in the same folders.
Yeah. So what I just did, what we did in class is pretty much exactly what the assignment will be. It's just different database table. So I'm going to see if I can push this to GitHub somehow.
You go to file, and it might be a thing with like text.
So file.
So there were a couple different steps.
If you go up in the
File.
yeah, and then add to source control.
Oh, okay. That brings up a dialog somewhere. Oh, it just brings up add to source control.
So that's what did it for me. And then if you go to your connections in your team explorer, there might be a new one.
Okay, so let's go to.
I think it's down at the bottom.
Team Explorer.
And then go to the connections.
Connections.
If you go to where it says changes. And
Oh, changes. Connections.
or the drop.
Oh, there is this one.
Yeah. And then
And so if I do, that is there. That is correct.
Go
But
to.
I think that's what I tried to do everything to.
Go to sync then.
Sync.
Yeah, where connected is. Click on connected. Yeah. Nope. Connected. Click that.
This one?
Yeah, click that. Go to sync. And then push.
But is it still going to push?
So here, can you bring it off of the magnifier?
Oh, sure.
Because that way we can see. So I think the issue is because it doesn't show that you have a repo down here.
Right, it wants the whole folder
Yeah.
of repos.
So I think I should. So
And I tried to change that, but so this book, this is the repo I said to go to, but it's actually still trying to put all of the folders in there.
So let's see. Give it a second.
What I could do again, I could probably run through that whole thing in 10 minutes and just see if I get it
Well,
right
because
the
when
second
someone
time.
was having issues before when they had already set up one for it to go to, I was able to go back and just start it to a new one and get it to work, but it's just a matter of the computer is it working? Okay. So because it wants to commit 278, which is a lot less than last time.
Yeah, that actually is.
That should be correct, you think?
Well, I wonder if those are just the changes. You could try it, but I think it's still the path is repos, right?
Let's see.
Push.
Okay, check
Yeah,
now and
let's
see if
see
there's
what we
anything
got.
in there, because I think that is correct.
All right, so let's go to.
But it might have started.
Let's refresh. So it's still got all of these.
So it's still got all the stuff that you don't
Right.
want in there. Because the issue was when I first did mine, it came up with just book review. It auto populated with that, so just that folder.
And it should. That's what it always
Yeah.
did when I did it before.
So I don't know why it's putting everything. And it still shows just repos, and it doesn't show
Right. That's why I'm just thinking I could just run through
just
this.
do it all over again.
Yeah,
and see
it
if that
literally
fixes
would
the
take
problem.
me 10 minutes. Takes 2 hours to explain, but it takes 10 minutes to do.
Yep.
Just find out that you can right click the button on the particular folder you want to commit.
Okay.
Go to there's solution.
No solution.
Yes. So whatever you want to commit, you just right click here. You can find.
Oh, but do I have to do it for every? That's not a folder. Maybe it's only on folders.
I just found it earlier on my. Why is not?
I think I'm just going to run it again. And I think what I'm going to do here.
Just delete it.
Yep. So I think I'm logged in, right? So it was book review NBC 2018 W. So that Git test, there were several that I did that were testing this that worked perfectly before. So, um, see, now it has it. The Git, create new Git repository. So I'm going to do book report NBC 2018 winter. Create new Git repository. Okay.
Should we be following your
No.
publish?
Well, it's up to you if you want to. For one thing, the sample thing, you don't need to save it. Right, so if you do the the community assist, it should be okay. So, real quickly, models, add video.net entity. Interesting. Okay. So, I'm going to add a new controller. Oh, the book again. Entities. Okay, so let's go home index. Although I also want to do home controller. Oops, I don't want that in the Jumbotron.
Hey, Jane, I got that. I got that.
Oh, the 150.
Yeah. What did you do today?
Yeah, I know, but I haven't used this. I'm gonna cost.
Can you just, can you do like 1 minute?
I don't know.
So basically, well, forget about this. I just did the, I just did the. So, what you do is you need an X, you need a base, you need a Y. So the real key thing is you need to have, make sure you just get it in. The real secret here is right there is call up NASA.
Yeah, I thought not as avoiding it because I thought. That's.
Yes, I thought.
The only other thing I didn't do.
So I thought we were supposed to use the NASA. That's what I'm saying.
Oops, I didn't want to kill that. Oh well.
So maybe I did it wrong too. But either way, what you want is you do the, like I still got the results. And what you do is you're doing the form, you do the form.
Layout.
So instead of getting the answer, you do like a, okay, like a, if the base is like say 2, you want to do 7, you do power, you do 0 power, right? So 1, 2, 4, 8, you print that out. So. Yeah. Daniel, what's your email? Yeah, I'll just get you. Which, like,
So on Wednesday, you'll have time to.
Yes, Wednesday will be, I'll give you an open lab for that.
For the grant assignment.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So. All right, so I don't want 2018. I did this.
Yeah, just go back to all your repositories.
Yeah.
Because the issue is still that it's just not showing your project, which it should be. Once you.
How do I get back to the repositories? Repository. No, let's just do GitHub.
Well, it'll show your repository.
So it should be here, 96. Git test out. Oh, I'm not seeing it.
Did you sync?
Yeah, I did.
So it's still not showing. Click on repos.
So that's book
Yeah,
review.
click on that.
Path. Is that the right repo though?
It'll just recreate it because didn't you delete it? So shouldn't it just recreate it?
Yeah, but I named this one differently. And it's supposed to have created a GitHub.
So click create then. No, that's still not. That was what you came up with first, which is not what we had.
Yeah. This one should. When I did it, it said create a repository, and I did that.
So
First
click
commit.
synchronization up there, repos.
This one?
No, right below it. Click on that. No, over on the
Here?
yeah. Projects. Go down to projects. New repository. Yeah. Just create a new one and see if we can just push it to that.
All
So I don't
right.
know why your settings are a little bit different.
I don't know either. It's weird.
There we go. Now we have a repository going, I think. So now go back over and then, no, go back to the little pencil.
Just add those
Let's see
to.
where it's gonna.
It looks like it's going to the right place. Although I don't know if my files are there. Let's do these.
Yeah, you don't have any changes. Push them, I guess. Oh yeah, because then we should be able to select the repository that we want to push those changes to.
So which way to select?
No, over. The one on the end, the little two.
This one?
No, the little arrow.
New
No,
branch?
go over the arrow where it says 2.
2.
Number 2.
Oh, number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now when you click on synchronization, it should let us select a repo. Projects. Manage connections, I guess?
So we got book review, which isn't the same. And it's still the path, it's just repos for that one.
The one down there, the book review we just did.
Yeah. Book reviewed winter. But it's not there. When I did it, it said to create a new one for
But
this.
nothing came up.
Yeah, I know. Why? In fact, I deleted. So we have that repository, but nothing's in it. I could just copy my files over.
Yeah, be a pain.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing in there except the two.
Can you try signing out of GitHub and going through the whole thing over again?
The whole,
Like when you first,
the whole
uh,
assignment over again? Or?
no, when you first signed into GitHub through Visual Studios.
So sign out in, I don't know if I can sign out in, so if I go to the start
back
page,
to, is it Team Explorer that has the GitHub stuff?
yeah. So I'm reconnecting to GitHub, but it seems to be,
Well, because when I first connected GitHub through a new project, it gives me the option to create a new repository for my project. So I'm thinking if we can sign out and then sign back in.
no, this is for Interpret, oh, so GitHub. So I want to sign in, but I want to sign in to connect to GitHub, but it doesn't allow me.
Is it because you're already signed in? Did
Yeah.
you sign out?
No.
Okay, so try down, no, GitHub right below it. Sign out.
I'm going to sign in again.
Just hit
GitHub,
connect.
All right, so it's. Have you done a lot with GitHub?
No, not really.
Yeah.
So now I'm connected in there. This is the, but this one is empty.
Yeah, so
Yeah, right. I was kind of hoping that you would do that, so I don't.
I don't know either. As I said, it worked fine from home, and it worked fine in my office.
Oh, really?
I need to go eat lunch soon.
so 1 second. Let's- Yeah, yours is completely different.
Which doesn't make sense. It's all the same. You all followed my instructions.
Yeah, but yours, yeah. Because for me, it gives me GitHub, but it says publish, and then when I hit publish, it walks me through creating a new one, and then it connects to that. So yours doesn't give the option to publish, it just says connect.
Right. Which I already did connect, I think.
I disconnected to see if it would, yeah, I don't know why. Connect to a project?
I think that's for Team Server.
So, that one it won't let me remove. Yeah, I don't know why it's not letting you start one from your project itself. That's the issue.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because we did get connected before, but it connected everything, not just that project.
Yeah, and as I said,
It's got to be something with your settings or something.
but my settings should be the same as yours. I might try it again. I could.
Well, I started with the original.
Oh, which might make a difference.
Yeah,
Well, what if I wonder?
but other people got connected just fine too.
Yeah.
Because I was helping him back there, and we went through it just fine.
What I will do, I'll run it in my office where it will work, I think, because it was working before. And then I will, maybe I can figure out what's going on there.
Well, worst comes to worst, you could always download the old
Yeah.
virtual machine and run the updates, and then see if that fixes anything.
It'll be all right. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, see, mine says publish to GitHub, and I don't get anything that tries to make it just wants to publish it. To start a new project.
Well, when I started this one, I was hopeful the second time I ran through it because it had that check mark for create a GitHub repository. And that in the past, that was all I needed to do.
So, quick question.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get the old homework in now that I'm all caught up in my stuff is already fine.
Yeah.
So for the first look,
We did that together. So
do you have, is it in your GitHub?
yeah, I believe so, yes.
Where is it?
So just go to and then first. And I did get everything up there. So we added a controller and a model.
Okay.
But I think everything is there. Now I'm not sure everything for the whole, like the code is there, but I don't think that that's something you downloaded it.
Yeah. So does it just want for the assignment?
Make a simple email class.
Yeah.
It's, and you just make that simple class.
Okay.
And then we made a controller with an index. We just manually added some data to it.
Okay.
And then we did a simple table.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's very similar to what we're doing just now. Let me know if you have any issues. If worst comes to worst, you could just try that.
Yeah.
It was without any connection to the database. It was just the idea of model view control. So we just walk through what a model and view controller was.